So, paid, owned and earned, is it worth the effort? Who works in agencies here? Or who? Yep, agencies. Who's a client here? Right, and who's in sort of ad tech or sort of vendor or publishers or that stuff? Okay, all right. So look, paid, owned, earned is, I'm going to give you two different views on paid, owned and earned. And the first one is that it's a total waste of time. The concept of paid, owned and earned is a waste of time. Let me explain why. A few years ago, I think that the paid, owned, earned acronym or POE acronym came on, and it was this dream that we were sold as marketers that some fancy ad man or content man would create something just so incredibly wonderful that audiences around the world would fall in love with that content and want to spend lots of time with it and then share it with all their friends. And suddenly the marketer's job would become so easy because we wouldn't have to do a lot. We'd just have to make a nice piece of film or something like that. And then the crowd would do the work for us. We no longer would need paid media because all we'd put it on Facebook or YouTube or tweet it, and suddenly the world was our oyster. Well, look, the reality, as hopefully most of us in the room know, is that that's a paradigm that doesn't really exist. So, paid, owned, earned became a little bit of a sort of post and hope strategy where marketers the world over were dreaming up great big ideas and then hoping it would fly. And I've just got some data here from, I don't know, those of you who work with Unruly and the Ehrenberg Bass Institute, who are fantastic partners of ours in particular, which just gives you an indication of the share rate of video content, just by way of setting an example of why we don't necessarily believe that paid, owned, earned is an opportunity that we can bank on all the time. And what this indicates, for those who, I can barely read it from here, but the average share rate for CPG, FMCG content is about 4%. So that means, how can we rely on owned and earned media in particular to drive reach when the share rate on average is at about 4%? There are some standout examples, our own Dove brand last year with sketches, and some examples from Coke would indicate that there are some opportunities where owned and earned can really start to pay back. But the reality is, in our business, we're the second largest advertiser in the world. 2 billion people use our products every day. That's quite a big number. And with that big number comes quite a large responsibility to make sure that, as a marketer, we are doing all we can to reach as many people as we can in order to consistently fuel the business through sales at that sort of scale. So we don't believe that we can run a business on a paid, owned and earned promise. We can't go into marketing with betting that we're going to generate significant volumes of reach through owned and earned, which is why paid media is still the backbone of mass communications for us, and I can't see that changing anywhere soon. If we just have a look at this, again, the numbers are nearly impossible to read, so I'll give you a hand. This is actually taken from one of the tools that we use through PhD, who are our global communications planning agency. It's one of their planning tools called Source, which is an invaluable resource for us. And it helps us to predict the reach that we're going to get from the investments that we're making. And what the numbers here tell you is that from the paid reach we're going to generate on this campaign, on this program, with this mix, is just under 91.5%. The owned reach, about 0.28%, and the earned reach, about 1.98%. So in other words, the incremental reach that we can get from owned and earned is reasonably insignificant. Well, not reasonably, very insignificant. So how do we manage our way through that? Dreams do sometimes come true, though, in our business. And last year, we released and supported a film called Dove Sketches, which had a big impact on our business. And it had a big impact on, a reasonable impact on the world of marketing. It was picked up on quite a lot by the press. We picked up a number of awards on the back of it. And that's because we actually cracked a paid, owned, earned model that really began to work for us and really began to pay dividends. So I'm just going to share some of the outputs of that, none of which is rocket science, but some of the outputs that we're now trying to apply to our business to try and get the most amount of value out of that paid, owned, and earned linear journey. So what are the conditions for optimal incremental gains for day-to-day marketing excellence? Well, a powerful creative idea, it goes without saying. I mean, it's, again, not rocket science to put that up, but Dove has a very powerful proposition, and therefore that leads to great creativity. So we have, therefore, a brilliant execution of that hero content. That film itself was hands up, anyone seen Sketches? Hands up if you've seen it. All the girls, not many of the boys. That doesn't kind of surprise me. But a really smart execution of the core proposition of Dove, which is that beauty is a source of confidence, not anxiety. That's what Dove stands for. Really well seeded. Again, using a number of partners, we seeded the film to the right people at the right time. So through PR and through digital outreach programs as well, we managed to seed it well. But crucially, it was really well fueled by paid media. And so therefore, we ensured that we got the reach that we needed to give the film the best chance of success to be picked up on other earned channels. And then we did what all good marketers do these days, which is, amplify the success with other related content. So, some might call it matching luggage content. But as and when that film started to fly, we could sit around, we could watch what was happening, we could see who the influencers were, and we could create other pieces of content that would support it and give us incremental contacts with audiences. So there for us are some of the conditions that we need to succeed on what we would call, the incremental gains of paid, owned, earned. So we have a brilliant film, we seed it, we make sure a lot of people see it, and we know that we have to force the distribution of a lot of our content through paid media. That is just a fact. And then we set the other conditions up to make sure that we're creating other owned assets that will generate us earned media. So what I'm trying to say here is that, relying on paid, owned, and earned is a very difficult model for us. Sometimes we will get it right. I'm just going to show you another example in a minute from our UK team on Marmite, which is where they've applied some of these principles to get as much incremental reach from owned and earned as they possibly can. So if we can just play this one, please. Thank you.
Marmite, the British bread that people famously either love or hate, found itself in a sticky situation. 1 in 10 Brits had not opened their jar in 3 months. Thousands of jars were being mistreated, left abandoned and forgotten. We planted these findings in the press, and the groundwork was laid. We then launched an integrated campaign to correct this problem and save neglected jars. Posters alerted people to the telltale signs of neglect. And a 90-second TV ad showing a Marmite rescue team at work debuted during one of Britain's most watched shows, with viewing figures in excess of 8 million people.
All we're going to do is have a little look around your cupboards.
Oh, stuck right at the back. Who knows how long that's been in here.
The team's only option is to remove the stricken jar.
A series of videos highlighting the team's commitment were put on YouTube.
A high cupboard, so you can reach up like that and just have a little look round the back. Just makes our
We sent rescue vans to raise awareness, distributing Marmite care packs outside the place where neglect really begins, the supermarkets. On the shelves, a newly designed baby one, heroed in our TV spot, compelled shoppers to end Marmite neglect before it began. Within 48 hours, we'd scored 250,000 YouTube views. People started reporting cases of neglect themselves through the End Marmite Neglect Facebook app. And some even made their own versions of the ad. In classic Marmite tradition, the campaign created some love-hate debate with over 500 official complaints. It even made front-page news. It also managed to pick up a healthy portion of awards. The Neglect campaign went on to generate over £2 million worth of free media, reached over 66 million people, and saw a sales increase of 15%. So Marmite is back where it belongs, thanks to an integrated campaign that some loved, some hated, but no one will forget.
So, plenty of you have probably saw that TV ad when it went out, and some of you may have also witnessed some of the extension content that we created around it. But that, again, is another really strong example, we think, of giving ourselves the best chance of success when we look at paid, owned, earned in that reasonably linear manner, paying for something, driving them to an owned platform, and then earning incremental reach off the back of it. But here's the other flip side of the coin, which is why I think that paid, owned, and earned is indeed the future of marketing. But I just think we might need to reframe what we mean by paid, owned, and earned a little bit. We'll just play this one, please.
Good morning, Lydia.
Mr. Shilling, there's been a hold-up.
I know, Miss Spent. Roadworks on the ring road, don't you know?
No, we've had burglars. Oh.
Bunglers, more like. They've missed our liquid assets.
PG Tips.
Time for a cuppa, I fancy.
Oh.
Mr. Shilling, we found a tea leaf in the kitchen.
Tea leaf?
I'll admit it, it's a fair cut, Gav.
There's no other tea to beat PG.
It's the taste.
It's a taste. What a brilliant strapline that was. So look, this was in an era not too long ago that most of us might remember, where our role as media people, as marketing people, was to market to people. And we would create pieces of film like this, and then we would force the distribution of that film into every living room in the country to ensure people saw it. And what I want to talk about now is how we feel that marketing is evolving and how we can take advantage of that, because we've moved beyond an era of marketing to people. And we're now in the midst of what we would call an era of marketing with people, which is where we are creating films like Dove Sketches or the Marmite campaign, or the work we do for Axe with sending people into Axe, it's called Links in the UK, sorry, where we send people into space. Marketing with people is about bringing people into our story, asking them to take part in it, and then hopefully reaping some of the benefits of their taking part in our activity by creating some content for themselves around it, or sharing it with their friends. So, if you like, we've been in this stage of marketing evolution for maybe the last 4 or 5 years. But I just want to reflect on that for a moment and ask whether that is what the future of marketing actually looks like. Is that something that we can rely on all the time? This constant striving to create these great, wonderful pieces of film and then just hoping, crossing our fingers, that it will be good enough for people to want to share with their friends. And I'm not sure that that is the answer either. But what we're trying to do at Unilever is move from marketing to people, where we push the content in front of them, marketing with people, where we take all of the opportunities that we have to embrace them, to bring them into the story, and into an era where we're marketing for people. So what does marketing for people actually look like? What does it mean? Well, one iteration is that it's actually marketing that's useful. There is such a bank of data, people are talking to us all the time and telling us what it is that they're actually interested in. And as marketers, what are we doing ignoring that? Well, I'm going to show you a few case studies now where we're not ignoring that and we're beginning to embrace it and invest serious amounts of resource and budget into creating marketing that's actually useful for people. Marketing that's useful understands need and satisfies demand. That was one of the earliest tenets of what marketing was actually all about, was understanding what the demand for products was. When William Lever set up the business back in the late 19th century and created the Sunlight soap brand, he was understanding what the need was from consumers, and therefore understanding how he could satisfy the demand for that need. So the first example I want to show you is something that we've created for our hair category. and it spans our portfolio of hair care brands, which is, if anyone else works in a matrixed organization, might understand quite how difficult that is to get one brand director to have a conversation with another one. But we'll just play the next film, please.
Every year, over 11 billion searches about hair are made on Google. But it's not branded products that women are looking for. It's solutions to problems and inspiration for styles. And they want to know how to do these things themselves. That's why over 7 billion hair videos are viewed every year. Tutorials created by vloggers, women just like them, providing simple step-by-step instructions on how to recreate styles. So we developed All Things Hair, a YouTube channel to provide a platform for these hair needs. And here's how it works. First, we interrogated the most popular hair search terms and identified future hair trends with almost 90% accuracy up to 3 months ahead using a unique forecasting tool we developed with Google. Then we partnered with leading beauty vloggers in each market and let them work their magic. They created a wealth of content using our products that was housed on our bespoke YouTube channel. Each video linked to a customized hamper of products, allowing women to click through to e-retailers to purchase. And all of this was available through a personalized interface on all platforms 24/7. The results. We launched in 2 markets in December 2013, and within 5 months, All Things Hair topped the YouTube charts as the #1 hair care and style channel in those markets, and the 5th globally. The videos amassed over 17 million views, with half of those organic and viewed on mobile and tablet, at an average view time of 1 minute 51 seconds. All Things Hair worked because we listened to consumers and provided them with an answer to their needs. The channel is real-time, following and predicting trends. Content is relevant, useful and personal to them, all delivered by authentic voices. This is the beginning. It's a long-term approach, and the future of All Things Hair is looking bright.
So the things I would call out from that are, and the slide flashed up before the video played, which was, this is paid, owned and earned, but it's kind of the other way around. It's an owned platform that we then support with paid media to get it going. But earned is really fueling it. As it says in the video, more than 50% of the views that we're getting on that content is organic. We're not having to pay for it. And the reason we're not having to pay for it is because as an advertising business, or as a marketing organization, we've actually created something that's useful. You know, we know that girls, and hands up girls who type in hairstyles into Google on a reasonably frequent basis. One of you, come on, more of you own up. I'm not going to ask you chaps whether you do it or not, because I can see you don't. But you know, this is actually taking real-time data of what people are looking for around hair care and hairstyling, and then 48 hours creating content with the likes of Zoella and Tanya Burr in the UK, who are incredibly popular and influential, I guess I have to call them celebrities now, but influential girls who sit in their bedroom kind of celebrities. And they're creating the content to answer the specific queries that girls have about their hair. And funnily enough, they just happen to be using our portfolio of brands. So this is a real opportunity for us and a model that we can repeat because the data's there. People are telling us 11 billion times a year in the hair category what it is they're interested in. We have a pool of talent who we have relationships with now who can create content. We can turn it around fast. We have an owned platform, and then as soon as the content is ready, we fuel it with a little bit of paid to make sure we're connecting what it is that girls are looking for with the content that we've created. And then, hey presto, more than 50% of the views are coming from organic, because over time, girls are still looking for the same sort of hairstyles, and because our content is so strong, it's getting such high engagement rates with regards likes and the channel subscription, that we're ranking highly for organic as well. So that for us is a really powerful model and something we are looking to repeat. We're now in the US, we're in Brazil, we're in the Philippines, and we're rolling out into other markets as well. So the next example I want to show you is O&E. We didn't even bother with a P here because we didn't really need it. So if we can just play the next video.
Your fridge is amazing. If there are even just 9 ingredients in your fridge, you are already able to prepare over 360,000 recipes. That's like having a completely different dish every day, lunch and dinner, for 500 years. So why do you still insist on making that plain old sandwich? So when there's a lack of inspiration, or you just don't know any other recipe, there's Hellmann's Recitweet. Now you are able to prepare thousands of different recipes with just one hashtag. Tweet any ingredient that you might have in your fridge. Plus the hashtag Prepara pra mim, which means prepare for me. And the Hellmann's profile automatically sends you back a delicious recipe. Recitweet accesses the biggest recipe database, Recipedia, generating a custom recipe according to what you have available, without having to download an app, or search in a recipe website, or even call your grandma. Recitweet is the first hashtag that gives you an automatic recipe. Through this new use of Twitter, millions of people have gone beyond the sandwich. In just one day, more than 22 million impressions were generated, with more than 82,000 interactions with the hashtag, and an engagement rate 3 times the national average for Twitter. Thousands and thousands of recipes were delivered, 24 hours per day, 7 days a week, making people's lives a lot easier. A customized help tool that consumers immediately adopted, proving that when we put people first, you get incredible results and increase your brand love. And that's not all. We also personalized our tweets to promote Recitweet during our audience's favorite programs. When people posted about these programs, we answered with tweets about the same attraction. So the next time you open the fridge, you might even make a sandwich. But it won't be for a lack of a better option. Hellmann's Recitweet. Thousands of recipes, just a tweet away.
So again, just to sum up that one, why does that work? It works because it's marketing for people. It works because it's useful. It's understanding a demand that people have, which is a bit bored of making the same sandwich every day. And it's using technology to give them a solution that's valuable and useful for them. So the final case study that I want to share with you today doesn't bother with the paid. It's benefiting from some earned, but it's not really why we did it. And it's just about the O. It's just about owning something. And Unilever here is, we've become a media owner, and which isn't something we set out to do, but we've become a media owner because it satisfies a very significant demand in a part of the world where we have a strong business, but where we find traditional communications very difficult, and that market is India. So if we can just play the next film, please. Nearly.
While a small part of the world is worried about the next big thing after Netflix, the rest of the world has some bigger technological issues, like the 104 million people in India who go without electricity on an average of 8 hours a day, every day. They live in a permanent blackout from the world, except for one thing, their mobile phones. And in Bihar, 65% of the population has one. So instead of waiting for these people to get a smartphone, we transform this rudimentary piece of technology they already have into the only constant and reliable medium of entertainment in town. The Kankajura station, a radio station in a mobile phone that works very simply. You make a missed call to a number, and a few seconds later you receive a call back, with 15 minutes of free entertainment.
दिल्ली नहीं आने के बावजूद भी हमारे पास अगर मोबाइल है तो हम इसे एंटरटेन कर सकते हैं।
था चुटकुले भी आ रहा था उसमें, वो शाहरुख खान का भी कुछ उसमें आया।
मैंने एक दिन में 4-5 बार कॉल किया है।
Music, news, series, jokes, and, of course, advertising. From all our brands. Because with 104 million inhabitants, Bihar is an important market for our growth in India. During the first weeks, we received 150,000 calls each day. In just 6 months, the Kankajura station is already the largest media channel in Bihar. With 24 million calls and 8 million unique users. The Kankajura station, a new media that brings content to people relevant to their culture.
कान खजूरा स्टेशन 1830 1,001 2 3
Sorry, I thought that was not going to end. But again, for us, a groundbreaking and potentially huge new model for us, where we create the media. If it doesn't exist, we create it. And we push content through mobile phones, and we're rewarded for doing that with people listening to some pretty basic, radio advertising over a mobile phone. But in dark areas like that, that's a really valuable opportunity. It's a really valuable piece of marketing. It's marketing for people, and it's satisfying a need that they have for content. So look, I'll just close off. Is paid, owned and earned a model worth the effort? Well, it's not if you think that paid, owned and earned is this panacea for marketing and suddenly the clients out there, you'll be able to halve your media investment because the audience will do the work for you. It is if you set the right conditions for optimal gains, but those gains are likely to be incremental. But it absolutely is if you reframe the model of paid, owned and earned to represent a new paradigm of marketing. So thank you very much. I think it's questions, is it? Thank you.
Okay, Geoff. Because we're going to take some questions from the floor now for Geoff. Hands up.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Thanks, that was really interesting. With the Resitweet example, beyond the fridge magnets, how did you integrate the product, and did you see positive commercial results as well?
Absolutely, we saw positive commercial results for it. How do we integrate the product? Well, all the recipes that were provided, obviously, you could use mayonnaise with.
And was there any backlash from that?
Any backlash? No, not really. I think people know what they're getting into. I mean, most people who are on Twitter know what they're getting into. If it's an offer of recipes for your fridge, I don't think people are stupid these days. They're quite happy to pay for something of value through, with being exposed to some branding. So there was no backlash of any note anyway. So.
Next question up here at the front. And can you say who you are and where you're from as well, please?
Hello, my name's Nick, and I run a tech startup which is connecting influencers with brands. You've clearly already started moving into this space. I just wondered how much do you think it will affect Unilever's marketing moving forward?
As I say, I think that is an area that is impossible to ignore. I think we've moved very fast in the influencer space, and we think we've got the model of it pretty much bang on with all things hair. We've signed up the top talent in all of the markets. We've navigated what is, what I kind of call the Wild West, really, which is this whole space of influencers and their talent managers, multi-channel networks, YouTube. This is a complex space. Just understanding who to talk to and how to set deals up. At the end of the day, with that, we are working with early 20s girls who 2 years ago were just making videos in their flat in Brighton, and now suddenly they're earning 7 figures every year. So how's it going to change? It's already changed it because of the investment we've made in that platform. Other things we're looking at around our foods category as well in the same space. So influencers have always been there, whether it's Anna Wintour as the editor of Vogue, or others. Influencers now happen to exist on YouTube and in other platforms. So we're all over it.
Time for one more question.
So that's a good business.
Thank you. My name is Aitayo from Stockholm Media, Nigeria. My question is around, you listed 5 different elements to making this work. You had powerful creative idea, brilliant execution of hero content, well-seeded, paid media, amplifying with related content. The first one is where my question is, because the other 4, you can actually teach or learn that, right? But in terms of creating that powerful creative idea, because sometimes it's almost like something that it's like a light bulb, I don't know, but is there some kind of approach to creating really sick ideas like that?
There's not, well, there is an approach. I mean, to be honest, the strongest brands have a really obvious and powerful reason to exist. And, you know, that's one of the questions that we ask of our brands, and we ensure that at the heart of our brands there is a really powerful reason for that brand to exist and a proposition for which it serves against. So Dove, as I say, is to, you know, most of the people in the room will be aware of Dove and its role in assisting, you know, helping women with beauty and confidence that sits around beauty. We have a brand called Lifebuoy, which you may or may not be familiar, which is in developing and emerging markets, which is a hand washing soap, and you know, the proposition behind that is to prevent more kids under the age of 5 from dying of diarrhea and waterborne diseases. And so that whole brand's purpose is to prevent the death of kids under the age of 5. So is it hard to find a core proposition for a brand? It shouldn't be, because the brand should only exist to serve a reasonably powerful demand. So that would be my answer to that.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you very much indeed, Geoff. That's fantastic. What a great note to end on. If you could put your hands together and thank Geoff, that would be fantastic. Thank you.